Bam! Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. You know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon. And when Ed Wallace returns from Africa, he's in Africa. When we go live or upload another video, he'll be back at the end of the week, and I'm excited to have Ed Wallace back. You know, the internet over there where he is staying is really not good, so he wasn't able to come live with us. But tonight we're going to talk about Wade Wilson. It's time for you to pay. It's time for you to pay for the crimes you committed. Tomorrow, in less than 24 hours, we are going to hear his sentence. Will it be life without the possibility of parole or the death sentence? And that's up to Judge Thompson. In the courtroom tomorrow, we'll have a Spencer hearing at 9 a.m. I don't know if it'll go off right at 9, but that's going to give the state and the defense to get together and present to the judge and present to the court why they feel life in prison is the better alternative for Wade Wilson. And the state will fight that hard. And I am giving you the prediction that I gave a few nights ago. He will get the death penalty. And that's DutyRon's prediction here tonight. You heard it from me first. We'll see if I'm wrong. I have a poll somewhere up here in the top of the screen. There's a poll where you can vote. DP obviously means the death penalty. I just made it short. Vote there if you feel he should get the death penalty. Vote down at the second option if you feel it should be life in prison. I want to say a special thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all the folks who keep this a classy place and give us positive interaction. You're what makes this a great place, and we give thanks and praise to each and every one of you, me, myself, and Ed Wallace, and all of our great guests that we have. And I got a Snoopaloopa that you're going to love tonight. Our good friend Oblivious Benson is going to join us because in the second part of the show, after the half-hour mark hits, we're going to go into Wade Wilson's creepy online presence and all of the things that Wade Wilson was up to leading up to his multiple murders that he committed on October 7th of 2019. But before we get into it, let's listen to a little bit from our local affiliate. They've been covering this from the get-go, so let's hear what they had to say.
Wade Wilson's fate will come down to a judge on Tuesday. Will the convicted Cape Coral double murderer go to prison for life or be sentenced to death? I'm Fox 4 senior reporter Caitlin Knapp, and I've been covering this case since it started, from the trial to the penalty phase and beyond that. Now, I'm going to show you how we got to this point and what you can expect during the sentencing.
Are both the state and defense ready for trial this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Those words marked the start of what would be a relatively quick trial for Wade Wilson. He was accused of killing Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz.
Both of them died on the 7th of October of 2019. Both of them had been strangled. And both of them, before they were forever silenced.
State attorneys brought up police officers, friends and family of Kristine and Diane, but also Wilson's dad, who gave powerful testimony.
He just told me, he did something. There was two people gone that would not be back. He said, I'm a killer.
2 days in, both the state and defense rested their cases, with the defense not bringing up any witnesses. During closing arguments, the defense tried to convince the jury the killings were not planned, which would have taken the death penalty off the table.
I'm not arguing insanity. I'm not arguing. I'm just arguing that the state's claiming premeditation, and I'm saying he's whacked out. He's just out of his mind.
Wilson.
I want to just stop it just for a second there. And I'm going to go to the chat a lot tonight because a live interactive chat is what I love. As we're looking at Wade Wilson's hands here, as he folds them in court, his defense team, his defense attorney said to the state and said to the jury, we're not arguing that our client did not kill these two victims. What we're arguing is that it was not premeditated. And when you can prove that it's not premeditated, then it must be life in prison without parole. However, that argument did not work in the court. And the jury voted for the death penalty. Now, tomorrow, it's up to the judge. We do not have the results of the brain scans that were ordered. They will come to light tomorrow. So Becky L says, we need Sparky. We need to visit old Sparky. Yeah, fire him up. He's going to have the choice, unfortunately. Wade Wilson is going to have the choice to choose death by lethal injection or old Sparky. And he's already told his dad on a cell phone, on a prison phone call, that he wants lethal injection. But we could be looking at a good 2 decades before this happens. So again, what his defense attorney is doing with the Spencer hearing that we're going to have tomorrow morning, and this could take 4 hours, it could take 15 minutes, it could take 30 minutes, it could take 5 hours. We don't know. But this Spencer hearing is part of the legal process. And if his attorneys didn't request the Spencer hearing, he could always say, I was not represented right. They're doing everything in the legal process, in the legal steps, to afford this heinous monster. As you see swastikas, and he's got one over here that he's hidden with makeup or his hair growth. This is a horrific, brutal murderer. He took the lives of our 2 innocent victims here. And here's the victims: Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz. And there could have been many more. We could have been looking at Mila Montanez. She could have been murdered on his own admission. He said, if there weren't more people around, Mila, I would have killed you that day. And I believe if that police officer that stopped him in his vehicle confronted him in a physical way, he would have tried to kill him too. And those poor residents of the home he broke into, and his defense argued that he didn't break in, it was just trespass. Get out of here. Hold on a second.
Oh, hell no.
He broke into that home. He entered and remained unlawfully. And if those people, the residents of that home, those 2 elderly folks, and I can classify myself as an elderly folk as well. If those 2 were in that home, I argue and I present to you that we would have 2 more dead people. And it's not out of the realm for this guy. So let's listen to his attorney in court, and then we are going to bring Oblivious Benson on. We got a great show for you.
And I'm saying he's whacked out. He's just out of his mind.
Wilson was found guilty on all charges, including first-degree murder. With the death penalty officially on the table, the state argued his crimes were heinous, atrocious, and cruel.
He inflicted pain, and he showed utter indifference to her life.
But the defense said Wilson is, quote, sick and has a, quote, diseased mind. They brought in doctors to back up the claim.
There's enough data to support that his brain is not functioning like a normal, healthy individual.
However, the state had its own doctors.
I want to take this because street degree brings up a great question. How many minutes in advance of the crime constitute premeditation? There is no time frame of how many minutes before, during the commission, before and during. There's no time limit. All the state has to do is prove that he intentionally did it, and then he thought about doing it, and he did it. And they proved it. And I'm going to show you in a few minutes as you listen to closing arguments, because the prosecution summed it up, street degree, in a really good way. And I'm going to speed it up 2 times speed so you guys can hear it. And you're going to hear about premeditation here tonight, because that's what's going to be, that's what people are going to be talking about. Thank you for bringing that up.
Who contradicted that? Ultimately, the jury recommended Wilson be sentenced to death. Now, the time for the final decision is on Tuesday, where the judge will hear from both sides, and they will show more evidence ahead of the sentence. The defense recently got approval for a CT scan of Wilson's brain based on a previous evaluation by a doctor.
There's nothing in there. What are you going to scan?
Possibly indicating traumatic brain injury.
The defense recently got approval for a CT scan of Wilson's brain based on a previous evaluation by a doctor.
Possibly indicating traumatic brain injury.
It's not clear what the state will present during what's called a Spencer hearing, But what we do know is after the hearing, the judge is expected to sentence Wilson.
Community correspondent Shari Armstrong and I will be inside the courtroom telling you the judge's decision. We will also stream it live and bring you live updates as it happens.
We will be live tomorrow at 1:45 p.m. I'm not going to live stream the Spencer hearing because in my eyes, it's hogwash. It's part of the legal process. They have to do it. I'm going to be listening, but I don't think that I'm going to live stream it. There's plenty of other channels that will live stream that Spencer hearing. You're going to hear legal mumbo jumbo and arguments. We'll hear about the results of the brain scan. It's going to be the same as what happened in the trial. The judge is going to hear it. The judge is going to see it, and he's going to rule at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on whether Wade Wilson receives death or life in prison without parole. And we're going to hear that live. I've got a live stream that's scheduled already. When this one's over, it'll teleport you over to that. You could set your notification bell. You could watch it with us. You could watch it with many, many other creators who are going to live stream that. But I am going to have it here for our community. It's the right thing to do. It's something that's everybody needs to see, hear, depending on where you are. Sometimes outside the country, they don't have this stuff available to some of the folks. So it's always important to take a peek and see what goes on in court. All right. I got a great friend. I got a great guest, Snoopaloop extraordinaire. I'm praying that her internet holds up because she's been having some trouble down there in Texas. I don't know what's happening in Texas, but they need to get their shite together when it comes to internet. Yeah. Here she is, Oblivious Benson with the fingers crossed. OB, how are you?
Pray for me.
Wade Wilson.
It's Texas.
Yeah, it's Texas. I know. They say Texas has everything real big, real large. Everything's big in Texas, right? But
even the screw ups.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is supposedly fixed. So I hope it looks okay. Hope it sounds okay. Let's talk about Wade. Oh my God.
Yeah, I want to ask you quick, right out of the gate, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. You know, as a female and as a content creator and as someone who's been around the court system, you know about what goes on in and out of these courts and so forth. When you hear it and you listen to a case like this where we have such evil and two innocent women, their lives snuffed out on a Monday morning. Just like any other day, Miss Ruiz walking to the Moose Lodge or walking to where she has to go, and this guy snuffs his life out. I wanted to get your thoughts on this horrific monster.
I think that, I mean, obviously he is an attention seeker, and I personally noticed that as he escalates in his criminality and his violence and just his disgust and disdain for women, it seems, his face begins to look more and more like, as they all say, a middle school desk. He is somebody that, you know, he can blame being adopted. He can blame his biological parents. He can blame drugs. He can blame head injuries. It doesn't matter. He happily described turning a woman into spaghetti. So he deserves the death penalty. He deserves Old Sparky, keep a dry towel sponge on his head. Like,
yeah,
he deserves no painkiller. Like, let him linger, as they say in that one song. I'm terrified of people like him, especially when you see the female response to him, because, you know, everybody's like, look at that jawline. He's so handsome. But I don't see a lot of people talking about, actually, this is a good thing to bring up here, Ron. Did you notice the amount of bots that kicked in during this Wade Wilson storming the internet?
It got out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But you brought up a valid thing that I wanted to talk to you about, not only these bots and all this craziness, but you know, the way he described his victims, he used the B word, right? He called them B and he used the C word. He was nasty as it pertains to his victims.
Yeah, disdain.
It just made it so on the next level of vile. The way he described on his prison, on his jailhouse phone calls to numerous girls. You know, we heard from Kristen, we heard from a whole host of people, and including his own father.
And did you notice his mood when he's on the phone with the women? It snaps back and forth. It snaps back and forth so fast. Like
Right.
he'll go from angry and hateful to come on, baby, come on, put some money on my books.
Right. And when he was on with Joey, he was almost like he was a completely different person when he was on with his homosexual lover or whatever.
Oh, he was trying to get to first base the whole time. He was seducing Joey with words. He was making big promises that he damn well knew he couldn't keep. He knows he can't. He knows that he's got a meal ticket right there. And he knows that's his meal ticket because he knows he's never going to get conjugal visits. He knows this. He has to know it or he's an idiot. This is a guy who's been in and out of jail over 20 times since he was a teenager.
But I think his longest bid was only a year. I think his longest bid was a little bit over a year. So
Ron, when you get past 5, like that's like even before 5 is a problem. But like when you can't count them on your hand, that is a major red flag. On both hands, we're at the freaking Grand Prix. There's so many flags. When we're at 4, we don't even have 4 hands. Like that's how many times.
You're right. You're right. Look at Jack's message right here. Excellent comment. Totally
he was
bipolar
diagnosed.
Totally bipolar on the phone calls. Wade Wilson, again, when he was present in court, his attorney, many people argue this, his attorney didn't represent him properly, didn't do this right, didn't do that right. And all of these fan club girls and guys, there's guys behind those fan clubs as well, by the way. But the TikTok fan club of Wade Wilson, their claim to fame is that he didn't get proper representation. But here we're going to listen to his criminal defense attorney state to the court and to the jury that we're not disputing. We're not saying that he's crazy. We're saying that he was whacked out on drugs. They were trying to go with that drug, and there's no defense for it, right?
So he could be sober. It doesn't matter. He still did it.
Right. Exactly.
Who cares?
I want to play this because I want to get through this. Is 9 minutes, but I have it sped up. So let's listen to the attorney give the court and give the jury his side, and he basically argues here that Wade Wilson did not premeditate these murders, which is again
oh hell no.
But
he
let's
was
listen
playing
to
Grand Theft Auto. Like
know.
he was literally planning as he went on the move. Like you don't have to. It doesn't have to be 5 years before. You can plan something 5 minutes before it happens.
Right. During the Spencer hearing, we're going to hear about his mental status. That's what they're going to focus on, his brain. Does he have brain damage? Can a doctor say and convince? It's really, a lot of people don't understand this. It's about convincing the judge. And this judge, Judge Thompson, I looked into him. He's tough.
Oh, did you see his case? I was going to bring that up. Earl Tony Joyner, that was 25 years. That was a Florida football legend, apparently. I don't know. The guy murdered his girlfriend in 2016. He got 25 years. This guy murdered. He's got a huge rap sheet, which this other guy didn't. And he murdered multiple women.
Yep. And Thompson doesn't play. Emily, thank you so much for gifting. And let's listen to this because I want to hear his defense attorney talk before the court. Look at the smirk on this guy's face.
First, on behalf of myself, Mr. Shirley, and even Mr. Wilson, I want to thank you for the attention you've given through these proceedings.
He's addressing the jurors, ladies and gentlemen.
Portions that have been rather rough. So thank you. I want to get up here and I want to argue about premeditation. I mean, not arguing whether these ladies are dead. We're not arguing, but the premeditation. First off, let's go through the timeline.
I hated the way he referred to them as these ladies. Like he could have said the victims here, but he just referred to them as these ladies. Did anybody pick up on that? I thought that was heartless for this criminal defense attorney who's appointed by the courts. But again, there's so much to this that we could sit and talk about. But this right here is important because it's what leads him into his the verdicts. the guilty, and also the judge, the jury coming back and recommending the death penalty.
He and Jason Shepard meet Miss Melton and Amy Slobodian, I think her name was, at the Buddha. He goes home, leaves Melissa Montanez, his girlfriend, there, takes her car, and apparently Jason drove them back to Miss Melton's house. They have sex. They have consensual sex. Jason Shepard said so. And then something happened. I suspect it was the drugs. Shepard was saying, oh, yeah, we were doing cocaine, but just not my cocaine. That was for me. Well, if you listen to the statement that was played yesterday, Mr. Wilson talks about using flocka.
Oh, God.
That is not
It gets
good
struck.
stuff. Puts holes in your brain.
Objection, facts not in evidence.
Sustained.
He's using Flocka. Give him the chair twice.
Exactly.
At some point between
Leave it. Don't strike it.
Miss Losian leaves and something goes wrong. Miss Montanez described it. Killer eyes. 2 black holes. No soul, as she put it.
Cool. Let's kill him.
He kills Miss Melton. Wraps her up. Why?
The papers.
Rather than premeditation,
I'll explain Flocka later, guys.
the judge is going to give you an instruction on second-degree murder. And one of the, or also known as depraved mind murder, I don't think anyone can argue that none of this was not depraved. But in order to commit second-degree murder, there must be an unlawful killing by an act imminently dangerous to another, no one's arguing that, demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life.
Nobody's arguing that.
An act includes a series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. An act is, quote, imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind, end quote, if it is an act or a series of acts that a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily injury to another. No question about that. Is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent, and is of such a nature that the act in itself indicates an indifference to human life. Whatever he was doing, nobody's arguing was not depraved. Look at the timeline. Miss Melton was murdered sometime between 2 and
Yes, it's
4,
bath
maybe.
salts, you guys.
When Miss Slobodian left, she had to go to work. Then there's the incident about 7:30, 8 o'clock with Miss Montanez.
The incident. He beat the F out of her.
The incident. He minimized it.
Her fiance, Miss Ruiz, was going to work sometime between 9 and 11.
I want to stop it just for a second because Laura says this is not a very good defense. Guess what? He didn't have anything to go with because the defense, I'm going to put us back on.
Mm-hmm.
Once the defense received all of the discovery, and that's part of any case, the prosecution gives all of their evidence to the defense. Once this defense attorney saw the overwhelming mountain of evidence, forensics from the crime scenes, all of the DNA and forensics from each individual scenes. Now, don't forget, there's the Melton home, victim number 1. There's Miss Montanez, his girlfriend, Mila. There's crime scene there as well. It's not a murder scene, but there's evidence collected at that location. So now evidence from crime scene number 1 at Kristine Melton's home is now brought to Mila's work when he beats the crap out of her and puts his hands on her and tries to rip her dress off. Some of Kristine Melton's DNA is now transferred onto Mila's dress and
Mhm.
all of the interaction that he had with her. Then he goes from Mila to the parking lot and gets stopped by the police. No interaction, no touching. The police, there's nothing there. There's no evidence, crime scene evidence. But at the third spot, when he kills victim number 2, Miss Ruiz, now there's the commingling of all of Mila, Kristine,
Mhm.
now Ruiz, right? Miss
Yeah.
Ruiz. There's all of that, and they know it. They know it. And they know that they cannot fight that. So in court, none of this was presented, and people are getting so hung up on this. None of this presented in court because the defense said, we're not fighting that he killed these people. We're saying he
Yeah.
did. But we're going with the defense that Flocka and all that, and that was struck because there was no proof. I want you to explain that in a second, but there was no proof
Yeah.
what he actually ingested that night, because by the time he got arrested and brought in, they weren't able to determine. I believe they were to determine that he took meth and
Yeah.
cocaine.
Yes.
There was nothing else in the system that
Well,
he just alluded to.
I have to speak on this because I very rarely see anybody talk about this, and this is super important. There is not only precedent here for this damn near same situation, but it is both cases are in Florida. And it's so important to talk about because synthetic drugs that come from China that you buy at the head shop that say bath salts, or they'll say incense to infuse, or it'll just say like a lovely oil, but it's really crystals. They will now say Flocka and have different labels on them, and they'll spell it differently, and they'll have fun names, and they package it like a drug, and they tell you on the package, don't do it. Now, here's what's fascinating. Every single time one of these versions, because Flocka is like anonymous on the internet, there's a bunch of people, it's not one unit behind it. Same with Flocka. There's thousands of kinds. They're all essentially bath salts, but they're a methylphenidate type of bath salt. They're very methy. They're always an upper.
How do you
The
take it?
2K you can smoke it, you can snort it, you can ingest it. There's so many different ways you can use it. And what's messed up about it is the number one effect that seems to be relative to this specific drug that is slightly different than bath salts is you almost always go insane and contort your face, but you also crave eating people because it depletes your vitamin B12. It causes a rapid deficiency, according to a couple of different studies I've read. And it makes people really crave human flesh, which is strange. And if you remember the Rudy guy, he was a homeless guy who had
I
his face
remember this.
eaten under a highway in Florida. The
Mhm.
guy who did it, he smoked bath salts, supposedly. They found packaging. Everybody said he did. His girlfriend said he did.
Didn't they build that as flesh eating or human eating
Yeah.
zombies? Wasn't
Yeah.
that on the news that I remember seeing that?
Absolutely. And then it happened in South Carolina. And again, bath salts. It happened in San Antonio. Again, bath salts. But here's the other crazy precedent that happened in Florida. There was a kid named Austin Haroof. He attacked and ate two of his neighbors' faces and then attacked a dog and then told people that he was a wolf. And he went on Dr. Phil and he claimed that he thought he was a wolf. Now, the
Wow.
reason I bring both those cases up is because Austin was also experimenting with hallucinogens, and there were a lot of rumors afoot and aflutter that he had also taken something like that. Now, why don't they show up in the drug tests? Because they don't. That's the problem with them. They rapid fire leave your system. The only basically they show up as false positives for meth or cocaine.
Mhm.
But in order to be able to make specific tests for a lot of these, you have to basically be able to know what exactly is in them. And every time a different version gets regulated, you get a new version from China with just a little added ingredient that changes the whole mix.
Yeah.
It's complicated. It involves states getting involved. You do react similar to PCP, but very violent and aggressive. People see changes in basically their vitamins. They can dehydrate rapidly. But one thing's for sure, the Austin kid got off on his insanity. Was it insanity he got off on? Because he legit was having mental decline and they couldn't prove that he ingested anything, nor did he say. All the
Right.
witnesses said he did bad.
let's circle back and
Rudy-
say this didn't come into play
Yeah.
in this case because it wasn't allowed to be entered into the record. There was no conversation about it until the defense attorney brought it up in his closing argument.
I'm just saying precedent's going to be bad for him. This is bad. If he gets insanity, he's going to be in the worst of the worst mental hospitals attached to a prison.
He's not getting that.
Yeah.
Let's put that in the, let's nip that in the bud right here. But let's listen to the rest of it and then we'll come back. Hey, PSA, if they're passing around something like that at a party, respectfully decline it and get the F out of there really
Don't
fast.
do it.
Because
Yeah, and that's a good point. Makeup lover.
Get
They
out.
don't show up in drug tests because they're made of synthetic drugs. This is absolutely true. And it's the same drugs that are in your shampoo.
Yeah.
So it's going to show up in a drug test anyway. And that's why it's so hard to track.
Yeah, and here's another one. Drug panels don't include research chems.
Yep.
All right, let's play this because I want to play it to the end.
Insanity. I'm not arguing. I'm just arguing or stayed with her that whether this was premeditated in terms. I mean, Miss Melton had sex with him. You could have just gotten up and left.
That was gross that he Kristine Melton's family is sitting right there in the front row, man.
He essentially just said, well, you had sex with him, so you took that risk and you deserved it. Like that's what his tone says.
It's disgusting. Disgusting.
Or stayed with her. Instead, he murders her. That's not clear thinking, shall we say. I'm not arguing insanity. I'm not arguing. I'm just arguing that the state's
What
claim
are you arguing,
premeditation,
dude?
and I'm saying he's whacked out. He's just out of his mind
Jesus
for any of
Christ.
this.
He's going to win on appeal because of this.
The only
Ugh.
other
Lawyer's
point I'd like
bad.
to make is the burglary.
Listen to this.
Burglary of the Amlin house. The second element. At the time of entering, not after you're inside, at the time of entering the structure, Wade Wilson had the intent to commit theft in that structure. Now, he was hiding from the police. Remember, this was after the incident with Officer McCormick,
Oh, he was evading an officer? That's a great reason.
claiming he didn't commit petty theft. But the reason he went into the house
It's the burglarizer.
was
Oh my God. Is this Trailer Park Boys? What is
When
happening?
you enter a home by taking out the window of, he took out the screen and jimmied up the window. The screen was in the crime scene photos. The screen was outside the house. He completely ripped it off. He didn't just push it up. He just ripped it off the frame. And then he pried the window open and broke into a home. That's not trespass. And that's what he's trying to talk about here. It's just a joke. The jury saw right through it. And they were like, you know, Mr. Criminal Defense Attorney, we're not having it.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
he was hiding out from the cops. So
He's hiding out from the cops. He was in someone's house.
you had a felony, the judge, you had a burglary. The judge is going to
Well, it's
advise
just another felony he was doing. Then add that in, I guess.
The judge is going to advise you about a lesser charge, which they gave the jury the opportunity to vote on trespassing. And they were like, no, he's convicted of first-degree murder of Kristine Melton, grand theft of the motor vehicle, that was her car, battery on Mila, first-degree murder on Diane Ruiz, burglary of a dwelling, and first-degree petty theft. So those were his 6 charges that he was convicted of.
Again, I respectfully request that you consider whether this was premeditated or depraved mind murder.
Of course, he drank White Claw, Stella.
Based on the rules of procedure, I don't get a chance to come back up here. The state does. So I need you to consider what they're going to argue to you in their closing argument, because I don't get a chance to rebut it.
Yeah. Okay. Have a
Yeah,
good
that's how court works, dipshit. Who is this guy? Did they just put a suit on a baby? Like, what is happening?
Insanity 101.
Your Honor, he couldn't have done it because he was doing another crime. It wasn't the crime you think. It was actually a much worse one. So, haha in your face. What?
Yeah. Let's say hello. Exactly. Let's say hello to some of our friends in the chat. Rock Chalk is here. Good to see you, Rock Chalk.
Rock Chalk, hello. White Claw entered the fucking. I'm sorry.
I got you.
It's
Rock
Florida.
Chalk. Yeah, it's cool. You're good. Don't sweat it. We're all adults here. Stella, good to see you, Stella. Stella. Melly, thank you for being a moderator. Thanks for being here. Thank you to the folks who gifted the super chat, the memberships. Emily, you're sweet, you're kind, and we appreciate you. Vicky Thomas, another 5. That's 10 gifted memberships. And my retired NYPD sergeant, who I work with in fugitive enforcement, amazing aunt. She's in the chat. She's the recipient of one of those random free gifted memberships, and she's thrilled about it because now she could come and hang out with us in the members only chat. If you're not a member,
for you,
consider becoming a member. If you're not yet subscribed, it's free. Hit that subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. And thank you to everyone who buys us cups of coffee. Me and Ed stay caffeinated 24/7 because you guys are out there buying cups of coffee. So, oh, look at this. Rock Chalk got in on the game. She gifted 5 memberships too. So, and she became a member to boot.
I love
you,
her.
Rock. I'm honored that you're here. I don't
like her channel, you guys.
Yeah, she's awesome. Everybody go over and check her out. I'll link it in the description. All right, let's get back to this because Lauren Crime tonight uploaded 18 minutes of Wade Wilson's best fudge ups. I'm trying to keep my
I sent you a great video of his lawyer falling asleep and then staring at his girlfriends and going like this.
No good. All right, we're playing some of the best of the Wade Wilson phone calls and also stuff from inside the courthouse. So let's take a listen to this. This is Lauren Crime. I thought it was interesting because tomorrow we're going to be inside the court live. This is leading you up into the live coverage that we'll be watching tomorrow. So let's let it rip.
Well, just tell me what happened then. I just
Killed the
a confession straight from the lips of convicted killer Wade Wilson, who admitted to both murders he's now convicted of long before a verdict ever came in.
choked her out, pushed her out of the car, and then I ran her over with the car.
For the first time, we're hearing hours worth of Wilson's jailhouse phone calls.
Choked her out, pushed her out of the car, and then ran her over.
I'm telling you, he thinks it's Grand Theft Auto. He's an idiot.
What Lauren Crime leaves out is that he stated to his father, and we'll hear that later on, he stated to his father that he ran her over 10 to 20 times to make her look like spaghetti because she was still alive in the car. And he decided that he was going to finish her off and make her stop breathing by running his car over her head.
We should do that to him. Can we do that to him? I'm sure Florida can bend a law for us.
We're going to get into the death penalty and how it's gets instituted in Florida. It's an interesting procedure, and we're going to go over that. This show is going to last about 2 hours.
He's dressed like a Dick Tracy villain. Like, what is that suit? I hate everything about
defenders. These are public defenders, and they somehow got somebody from the outside to get him this. It's supposedly from a thrift shop or a thrift store or something, and you could tell. It almost reminds me of my cousin Vinny when he came into court with that.
Oh my God,
Your Honor,
it
I
is.
didn't want to come in here because my suit fell in the mud.
And did you notice he has all the fans and stands that are sending him money? Like about half of them are all in Spanish because he has a massive Spanish troll farm that his followers paid for to amp up his image. Isn't that fun?
If I had it my way, Florida would be like. If I had it my way, Florida would be like the state of Utah, and this is how they would administer the death penalty.
Yeah,
1,400 votes in the voting tonight. What will Wade Wilson's sentence be tomorrow? I ask you guys in the chat, what will Wade Wilson's sentence be by Judge Thompson tomorrow? The first choice was DP. You guys can figure that one out. And then life at the bottom. 78% of 1,400 votes say death penalty. 22% they're going for the life. So there are 22% of our listening audience that would rather have him suffer for the rest of his life.
So here's the thing. He's a little punk. Like all of it, like he's got ex-boyfriends who said that he stabbed them. And the ex-boyfriends are like what in the gay community is known as a twink. They're just a little lovely little fellow. And this one is a lovely dude. And he was very upset to find out that this was his ex. And he said that Wade tried to stab him and that he would stab it. He grabbed the knife or something and went back at him. And that Wade is he's a little punk, and that he's terrified to get hit by a man, and then he can't fight. And that, he just looks tough. And I personally wouldn't mind seeing him getting the shit kicked out of him in jail for 20 years and then given the death penalty. Which is likely to happen if he gets the death penalty, right? He's going to get the shit kicked out of him for like 2 decades.
20 years. It's 22.2 years is the average of once you're sentenced to death. It takes about 22.2 years. 22.2 months. 22 years and 2 months is the average of them executing somebody in the state of Florida. Wade Wilson's father, his dad called him a coward towards men, and then he got his ass beat in prison and lost his teeth.
And then one of his ex-girlfriends, he tried to hit her or choke her, and she beat the shit out of him. So we've got 3 people who are like, he's a coward, he can't fight. And then there's reports that he got his teeth kicked in for lying about being in a gang. I think that this is a sign of him desperately trying to adapt, i.e. the I passed out at a middle school party face. That's him trying to adapt, and it's not freaking working. If he wants the death penalty, then I want him to get life in prison. If he wants life in prison, then I want him to get the death penalty. I just don't want him to have what he wants.
Right. I agree with you. On that.
I'm curious.
Either way, I think even if he gets the DP, he's still going to be in for 2 decades, a minimum of 2 decades. And this could go.
He's still going to get the DP if you get me. Like whether he gets the DP, he's going to different kind of DP.
20 long years of him locked up. Hey, listen, some of the people in the chat and some people who asked on DutyRon.com said, hey, why was Wade Wilson's the kiosk and his tablet, the communication, it was all taken away from him about 8 or 10 days ago. I believe 10 days ago. His communications were ceased. They stopped. They took them away from him. And the reason they did that is because they knew that this impending brain scan was going to happen. And they, for safety reasons, because he tried to break out of prison with using another inmate's number to communicate to the outside. So they wanted to stop a possibility of Wade Wilson again communicating to the outside world. Hey, I'm going for this brain scan on such and such date. It's to stop a potential for an attempt to break him out from the outside. So he was shut down of all his communications for security and safety reasons, not because they were being mean, like all those little fangirls. Yeah, we talked to him.
You're leaving out he was smuggling drugs in his ex-girlfriend's butt into the jail, and they got busted, and it was a lot of meth in her butt. So they were going to do butt meth.
Just threw up in my mouth.
Yeah,
just threw up in my mouth. All right,
and they didn't get their butt meth. So yeah, that's
behind the curtain.
That's what's up.
I hear you.
Baby, will you please see me again? This is going to ruin my life if you never see me again,
please.
Your life is ruined, Wade. What do you not understand? Sentencing in Wilson's case is set for August 27th, and that comes 5 years after he committed what the jury called especially heinous and atrocious and cruel acts against 2 women. First, there's 35-year-old Kristine Melton, who Wilson met in Fort Myers, Florida on October 6, 2019. They ran into each other at a bar where some live music was being played, but the night ended with Wade and Melton together at her Cape Coral home. And here's what prosecutors say happened next.
He waits until he is alone with her, until there are no other witnesses. He waits until she is asleep, defenseless. The defendant says she can't get away from him, even if she wanted to, because he's too strong. And when she can't get away is when he kills her, when he strangles her, because he was the lion and she was the prey.
Wilson strangled Melton to death, and after he was unable to move her body, he stole her car and left the crime scene. That's when he saw 43-year-old Diane Ruiz walking down the street. He pretended to need directions, and Ruiz got in the car. Let's let Wilson explain what happened next.
I choked her out, pushed her out of the car, and then I ran her over with the car.
After all of this, Wilson then called up his biological father to confess.
When he talked about these 2 people who were no longer with us and that he was a killer, did he show any type of remorse?
No, ma'am.
And here's how jurors felt about it.
The father said, "No, ma'am. I have this on. I have it sped up just so you guys know. So because I'm limited in time. I know OB, you only got a certain amount of time with us, so I'm trying to rush through this.
No, you're good.
As to count 1, first-degree murder, Kristine Melton. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that Wade Wilson was previously convicted of a felony and under sentence of imprisonment or placed on community control or on felony probation. Yes. We, the jury, find unanimously that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that Wade Wilson was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use of threat of violence to the person. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. As to count 4, first-degree murder, Diane Ruiz. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes.
And here's what the jury recommended as far as a sentence.
We, the jury, find by a vote of 9-3 that Wade Wilson should be sentenced to death.
Now, it's up to the case's judge to decide whether to uphold that death penalty sentence or give Wilson life in prison. That's set to happen on August 27th. And there's
tomorrow.
actually a recording of Wilson getting this death penalty paperwork, too.
State's attorney, they brought me the paperwork today for the death penalty. They brought me like 2 pieces of paper.
Are you serious?
What? Look, it says, notice of intent to seek death penalty. And then it tells us why, or whatever. So.
I'm going to stop this just for a minute. This account right here is sad for the entire human race. And I would say this, we should all be sad for these 2 victims and their families. We should be sad for the 2 innocent women that Wade Wilson brutally murdered and is now going to pay the price come tomorrow, either by life in prison or by death in prison. And that, my friend, is justice. And that you should be happy for, not sad. You should be happy for it. And for those of you who aren't happy for that, and that you feel that this guy deserves another shake, and this guy deserves to need more protection, think about the women, and especially in one in particular, that he ran over 10 to 20 times to make it look like spaghetti. If you see that crime scene, you'll never unsee that. Okay? So take that and put it in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, serious.
This is just one of many jailhouse phone call recordings we have of Wilson. So let's jump right in with a call from his ex-girlfriend, Neela.
Hey, baby. Baby. Can you just call me baby, though? You don't have to call me dude and stuff.
Yes, baby. I love you.
I love you, baby. How are you?
The calls usually start like this, by exchanging pleasantries. But this time,
that was meth.
Dark turn.
He was on something.
Well, obviously, you know, I'm never coming home. Again.
I know that.
You know that. And so, it sucks.
What the fuck? Why do you do this to me?
I got to come back on. Sorry, I did that without telling you.
Doesn't he always sound hopped up?
If you're a cheerleader for murderers, this is not a place for you. I'm trying to tell you right now, if you're a cheerleader for murderers, somebody like this guy, don't be my friend. And I can say that hands down. If you're a friend of Wade Wilson and you are a cheerleader for this type of person, you're in the wrong place.
Oh, I'll go find him. I saw his account.
Else. Go somewhere else.
Steve.
Had everything going for us.
I'm sorry, baby.
We had everything going for us.
I know, baby. I know we did.
You were out. You were in the clear.
I was good. I was good. Yeah.
You had 2 years of probation. I'm just happy.
Baby, I know, baby. I know.
With you, Wade.
I know, baby.
I'm never going to see you again. You know that.
You're not going to see me again?
Well, you know that. Oh my God.
Wilson about the crimes that at the time of the recording are still just allegations.
What is going on? How did this happen? How did this happen?
What? Who cares? He did it.
How? Let's tell me. I want answers.
You want answers? Well, remember when I went to that dude's house or whatever?
Well, then tell me what happened then. I just
Killed him.
Why, Wade? Why?
Because we went to this dude's house, Neela, and remember when he kept showing us the pictures? Oh, I got this, or whatever.
Yeah,
So I went to his house and I did a lot of it. Like he was giving me a lot. And I was doing a lot of.
Kill the girl.
Huh?
Why did you kill that girl?
I shouldn't have. I'm wrong.
Tell me what happened. Did you have sex with her? You went and killed her? What?
Did you really? That's all you care about?
This is, to be fair here, this was right after he was arrested, like days after he was arrested. So this jail call was, early on. And I believe that this is his girlfriend, Mila. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that she was trying to get information out of him of like, not just a confession, but like the details. And
she's a great actress because
I'm not sure she was working with the police, but she may or may not have. But she could have been also she could have just been a scorned girlfriend at that time, because she asked him, "Did you have sex with her?" with Kristine, and he lied to her, and he lies to everybody.
You
he
kill
said
someone,
no. I'm
break
sorry?
up with them, ladies. The second he kills someone, just break up with him, ladies. Like if you're watching this right now,
But none of us can put ourselves. None of us can put ourselves in her seat here, and that's why I want to just say this. She also was a victim of this guy as well, and he bamboozled her. She bought his bag of goods. He sold her.
So she was working for the police at this point.
I'm sorry.
She was the one who was working for the police at this point.
Yes.
Okay, I take it back.
It was with the media and the police.
Well, she's actually a really good fucking actress, because I'm like,
but you know what? He was very good at persuading people to like him. He had that whole smile and persona. He probably would have been a great telemarketer, like one of those, working in a.
Probably was. He looks like he was a telemarketer. No offense, I was
too. He
too.
could sell anybody anything, and he sold a lot of stuff to people. And he's working the kiosk. He's got people sending him money that don't even have money. This guy is slick. But anyways, getting back to it. Mila almost got killed by this guy, and she bailed him out in the past. She got him out of jail. She gave him chances, and like you said, women, ladies, gentlemen, if you have somebody who proves to you, and I always say this, I handled so many domestic violence calls. Once a man puts his hands on you once, he's never not going to do it again. There is always that repeat offense that's going to happen. And I saw it time and time again, where women would say, I'm going to give him a chance. I love him. He didn't mean it. It's because he's drinking. It's because of this. It's because of that. And I once took an order of protection out of a woman's pocket against her significant other. She was dead. Okay. So orders of protection do not protect you.
Oh, but also I just want to be clear. I totally have been just looking at his social media background and his criminal background, but like I get these ladies confused all the time. He's got 3 apparently that he talks to, and the phone calls are posted all over TikTok.
Yeah.
If this is the one that I think everybody's saying she was the one that was going to be his 3rd victim, I take it all back. I did not realize. I did not understand the game, man.
She worked with the police. She helped them.
No, she's a goodie. She's the good one. I thought she was the other one that was running his social media.
No. Negative. So let's listen to the rest of this. So this is her days after he's arrested, trying to extract information out of him. Yes, there was a part of her that was probably angry at this point and felt betrayed, but she knew he murdered 2 people. She was disgusted by it. She was repulsed by it. And she knew that there was not going to be any future for them. Yeah, she chain pulled him along, and she played him just the way he plays everybody else. And we'll hear his father at the end of this tell him, Mila screwed you. This girl that he's talking to right now went to the media and let the media listen to this whole phone call, and then they turned it over to the police. So let's listen.
Why, Wade?
Because I was freaking out on those drugs. Whatever he gave me must have been like bath salts or something else.
Okay.
It wasn't cocaine.
What happened to where you grab a knife and stab her? What happened?
I didn't stab her. Who said I stabbed her?
People keep saying you stabbed the girl. How'd you kill her?
No.
You choked her out.
I choked her out till she died.
Oh, she's getting the cheese, man. Okay. I like her. She's a goodie.
Neela, I was never going to do that to you, babe.
The news was listening and recording.
Yeah. These are the jailhouse calls, right?
Saying he'll never see Mila again. And to that, she has a pretty honest response.
I'm never going to see you again now.
You can
everything going for you.
Baby, will you please see me again? This is gonna ruin my life if you never see me again, please.
Your
That's gonna ruin your life, dude.
You don't understand. You can't.
Yeah, but if I have you in my, at least if I have you in my life, I won't feel like it's over. You know?
That's what he said to Joey.
I understand. Like
This is how delusional he is. This is days or a week after he killed 2 people.
And don't forget, he had a boyfriend before this one for a month, and that guy was
Before
told
Joey?
like no, Chris, totally different guy. I'm not gonna say anything else. His nickname is Chris, but that dude, like, they were spinning at the fair, like taking couples photos, like Instagram, Etsy style, like sweet, like they could be in a Hollister catalog. Like it was cute shit, and then all of a sudden then he just
get into it.
disappears, goes on drugs.
Let's get into it in the next half. I'm going to finish this in a second.
Full-blown relationship before this.
Wow.
I don't want to be alone without you. I really love you, baby. I'm sorry.
Kill people, motherfucker.
Okay, mother. I know that.
Wilson says he's done talking, but Mila presses him for answers about that second murder he committed.
I don't want to talk about this.
Well, you don't have to, but you have to explain something to me.
What is it?
And the other girl, why? She was walking to work, motherfucker.
Okay, she's doing a really good job.
Why couldn't you rob her? Why did you have to kill her?
Why couldn't you just rob her?
Yeah,
I was on the drugs. I was on the drugs.
She's getting intent. But the
Mila,
intent is what the
please
defense
don't
is
do
trying to
this
use, the
right now,
drugs.
please. Listen, I know, and listen to me. I'm fine. I know you're gonna another man that's free. Obviously, I know that.
What?
You
Oh.
killed 2 women.
Can you pause this at? I mean, Ron, sorry.
You call
I
me
was
Ed.
reading. Yeah, I was reading and someone mentioned it. I'm sorry. That moment right there, that's something that this is one of those things women notice. I'm sure all the women in the chat notice. He just did something because she was freaking out, right? And she was concerned, asking him a lot of questions.
I know you're going to be with someone who's free.
Yeah, he gave her a hall pass, but like a permanent hall. He goes, "Don't worry, it's cool. I know what you're gonna do." He thinks she's gonna go, "Oh my God, thank you for giving me permission."
Yeah.
But as a woman, if I heard a dude say that to me, that he's already doing it with other people. It's like, oh, you're trying to get me to run away. You're trying to get me to dump you because you're too much of a, you know what I mean? He's going to string them along, bleed them financially,
right,
and then give them permission to leave. That's what nutbags do.
I'm
going
to try after the sentencing tomorrow. I'm going to try to get together with Mila and get her to come on and tell her story, because I feel like she knows Wade Wilson probably better than a lot of us. Because
Don't
she
show her
dated him
anything
only
I said earlier. Don't show her anything.
Yeah, no, she dated him
Tell
for
I love
6,
her.
she dated him for 6 months, but once he is sentenced and the judge, everything's over tomorrow, I'm going to ask her to come on if she wants to. She may not want to tell her side, because she's definitely, no doubt a victim of domestic violence. He beat the hell out of her. I'm sure he beat her before this happened, and I'm sure that she has some great
The one whose
insight.
shirt got ripped.
Yeah, he ripped.
Yeah,
the
okay.
dress
No, she's
off
the
of her
good one.
body.
Yeah.
So let's
He's
listen
got
to this.
so many. There's like 9 of them.
It's almost done. Let's listen to this.
Yeah.
I know, and listen to me. I'm fine. I know you're gonna another man that's free. Obviously, I know that.
I can't date you. You killed 2 women and you tried to murder me. I think you would have killed me too.
Oh my God, I love her. Bring it back to the point. Yes.
Did you go to Josh's house and say you killed someone?
How great was that?
So she's like, no, go back to the thesis statement, motherfucker. Like, why did you murder these women? How did you do it? Like, I like how she would be a good like interrogator, I think.
Somebody, did you go to Josh's?
Yeah.
And then say something casual.
Because Mila, all you
back
know
into
what,
the deep
Mila,
shit.
I'm gonna be honest with you, all because of you.
He's never honest with anything.
Oh, blame her for it?
all
Oh, wow, Wade. Wow.
Caused the scene, and I couldn't tell you what I had done, and you were outside with your. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, but
with you,
he had
all
a
because
Tinder
of you.
this whole time,
Yeah,
though.
he's blaming her because she wouldn't listen to him. He wanted to come there and confess to her and to get in the car, just like Diane Ruiz. Can he get in the car and give you directions to the middle school, which he has no business going to a middle school. That was how he lured in his second victim to kill her.
Look
He
what
said,
Kim
"Give me
Watts said.
directions to the middle school," and she's like, "It's up there." He goes, "Oh, could you get in and just show me? I'm not from around here." She got in, he choked her to death, kicked her out of the car while she was still alive, and proceeded to run her over back and forth. He wanted to do the same thing to Mila, but this was all happened before Ruiz. So
He's literally reliving the same moment with these women.
Let's listen.
And look what Kim Watts said. Perfect. She said gaslighting. That is 100% what he's doing to her right now. And she is too good for him. Do you hear her? She is not. She's been with men like him before, I bet. And she has conquered them.
There it is. Kim Watts, comment of the stream.
All because you called the machine. I couldn't tell you what I had done, and you were outside with your.
Did you kill her and then try to kill me and then go try to kill the other girl? And
no, I tried to come see you to tell you what I had done.
Yeah, but did you kill the second girl at that point?
No, I think I killed her later.
He was honest about that.
Think?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I killed her after I saw you.
These are like usually things that people remember when they kill somebody.
I killed her after I saw you.
Hey, look at this comment. I got to stop the stream for that. Evelyn R says, "Hey, Ron, I hear you're a former detective." It's in
you
my
are?
It's
oh
in
my God.
Does anybody here know that I was a former detective? Evelyn, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm a former detective. It just happens to say it all over every piece of my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
I'm here because I thought you were the bird guy. This guy with the bird.
Welcome, Evelyn. Thank you for being here.
He's the Birdman.
Why did you have to kill her?
I'm sorry. I don't know.
Why? I kind of want to know.
Hear how he got
What?
quiet? I'm sorry, baby. I didn't know. I didn't know.
What was going through your head when you're killing her? So I heard that you choked her out. She didn't die. She got up and ran. You ran her over with the car. Is that how it went?
That is, yeah, it is. She didn't get up and run. She didn't get up and run. That's not true. I choked her out, pushed her out of the car, and then I ran her over with the car.
How did you get her in the car?
She got in by herself.
So she got in the car by herself.
Yeah.
And you took her out in the car.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, he tried to drag her in the car, like violently, and she planked. She put her hands up and planked so he couldn't get her in the door frame of the car.
Genius.
And he was pulling her dress off of her. Mila knew that she didn't just get in the car. She knew that he did exactly what he did to her by grabbing her and forcefully putting her in the car. But she does a great job of, he confessed not only to her, this idiot confessed to his father as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And then you
ran her over. Yeah, like 10
You
times.
not hear yourself?
Like, you hear how nonchalant
And
he
you
says
took
it?
her out in the car.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
In the car. And then you
Ran her over. Yeah, like 10
You
times.
not hear yourself?
Yes, Mila. I do. I hear
Does
myself.
this sound like something that you want to be saying out loud? Can you believe that you've done this?
No, I can't. I really can't. I was on drugs, dude. I really can't believe it.
This next part of the recording is extra chilling,
Listen.
given what we know now.
You're the
You never loved me to begin with. If you stop loving me.
I didn't know you were a killer. I didn't know you could kill somebody.
You knew I was a killer. Stop it.
What, dude?
Not that you're a killer.
So you thought all the story, you thought when I told you I'm a killer, I was lying?
Yeah, I did, actually.
Well, I wasn't lying.
So that Mila call ends.
Ugh.
You mean when I told you I was a killer, you didn't believe me? She's like, no.
You
You're full of
thought I
shit.
was a killer. You didn't think I was a killer. What? Are you flirting about being a killer, dude? Really? This is wild.
And this is just a short time after
It
this
really
happened.
is a game to him.
This is why I wanted to show this, Oblivious. The reason I wanted to show this is because for the people who aren't familiar, like we saw all this stuff with phone calls from prison, the YouTube channel, and you know, Jumpsuit Pablo goes over all this stuff. But a lot of times we forget about the good stuff. This is like the stuff that you can't make this up. This is the defendant. This is the perp on a jailhouse phone call telling his girlfriend that he ran this Diane Ruiz over with his car over 10 times. And that, yeah, I got her in the car and I killed her. It's like you just can't make this stuff up.
I bet she had to pay for that phone call too. I bet she had to spend I bet she had to put money on the books just to hear him gaslight her. This is so Florida.
And later, Wilson gets a call from his dad.
Yeah.
Where are you and her at right now? Okay.
Oh, she said,
This is Wade Wilson's father talking to him, his biological father.
Oh, when he scolds him.
Where are y'all at?
she said she's not going to leave me.
Okay. Well, let me tell you the truth. Do you know anything about media or anything with her?
No, what happened?
Okay. So yesterday when you called, she set your up. She had a news reporter there and had you on speakerphone, dude. And the news reporter heard you telling her you're the best. They've got it all over the TV. Okay. Where Mila calls you a monster, where she says you're a psychopath and she's your ex and you were going to kill her. And they recorded your conversation with her.
Yeah.
Where you're saying, don't leave me. You're the best thing ever. You know that, right? And then she's like, I'm so confused. So she's playing you right now because she's got the goddamn media there. Now I'm gonna play it for you. I want you to listen to this. This is your girl on TV.
That phone call with his dad leads to this one.
When I was on the phone with you, you were on the phone with the cops, weren't you?
What do you mean?
Like when I was calling you and you were like, I was like, baby, I need a bus.
No, but News 4 and News 2 were.
Baby, you set me up. I went to Joe's Crab Shack and the cops tried to get me.
Always at a Joe's Crab Shack. Every time.
Yeah, I was scared of you.
Okay, fair enough.
So this was the body cam footage that we saw of him at Joe's Crab Shack, parked by where her spa is. And he was saying, you set me up. The cops came. And that's what I was saying. If that cop on that body cam footage, I don't think you saw it, but the cops stop him after he beat, he first, he had one murder under his belt.
Oh, no, I saw he didn't have a shirt on, right?
He had no shirt on.
Yeah.
He's sitting in Kristine Melton's car, who he murdered just hours before. The cops didn't know that, but they knew that he beat the hell out of Mila. So he's now confronting her about that you set me up, and that's why the cops came.
At least you're honest.
You said you wanted to see me, kiss me on the forehead, tell me something.
Crab Shack and the cops tried to get me.
I did set you up for that, yes.
You did?
She
I was scared of you.
Okay, fair enough.
That felt so good.
At least you're honest.
You said you wanted to.
At least you're honest.
You're honest. Yeah, at least one of you is.
At least you're honest, unlike me.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, dude.
I was scared of you.
Wilson's other ex, Kelly, also spoke with reporters after his arrest.
It had nothing to do with the police. They were asking me, the news was asking me what happened, and I told
How
them.
did that feel? How did that feel to talk to the news? Did it feel good?
No, because I was just trying to get.
Bro, all you've been doing is begging to talk to the news, Wade.
Something happens, and they don't always help you. People.
You also called me an animal, a monster.
Which
you are. Jinx.
I think she was being kind to him by calling him.
Yeah, I would have called you way worse, dude.
Animals are more kind than that. I mean, a monster, yes. A demon, yeah.
I would never call it. Animals are cute. They don't do
Yeah.
the shit he did.
Yeah.
He's a perv, dude.
We're going to get into that in a few minutes.
This is so fucking weird.
I did.
This conversation.
So why would you want to talk to somebody like that now? If you're not
I
trying
don't
to,
even
if
know
you're
if
not,
I
if
do.
you're not trying to do something negative to me, then what is your reason for wanting to talk to me?
I have given up on trying to get you for what happened because it's not going to happen. There's no point.
So what now?
The only reason
What now?
said all that stuff is to help other women who have been in abusive relationships to get out of them.
You went to the news. You talked to the news. Listen. And you talked about your birthday on the news and shit like that. You supposedly told them everything that you thought that I did. So listen, here's the thing. So if you did that, I'm not going to give you satisfaction of saying anything about that on these phones.
So after all this, Wilson himself decides to talk to reporters. He admits to meeting Kristine Melton.
This was so he, after he did what he did with Mila, his girlfriend Kristen from the kiosk gave him a great idea. Kristen from the kiosk said to Wade Wilson, he asks her, hey baby, do you think I should talk to the reporters? She's like, yeah, you're innocent. I'm not going to have enough
Oh,
time
yeah, I
to
saw
play it,
that.
but Kiosk Kristen, tells Wade after his father just bawled him out. He found out that Mila set him up and put him. Kristen Kiosk tells him, yeah, it's a good idea. Talk to him. Tell him everything because you're innocent. You didn't do this, babe. Go and talk to them. So he gives a full interview with somebody from Channel 2 and Channel 4. He gives 2 interviews. And here's what happens.
But says he's not the one responsible for her murder.
I left her house
The
at
news.
maybe, I believe it was between 5 and 6 in the morning. Now, don't quote me exactly on the time frame, but somewhere in between there, if I can remember correctly. And I left her house.
So a question
yes,
inserted
go
in
ahead.
here for me to get a chance.
Sure.
So you had no involvement in the death of Kristine Melton, is what you're telling me.
That is exactly what I'm telling you.
So Kristine was alive and well when you left her home in her vehicle with her car. And
yes. In her vehicle with her car? No, I was in her vehicle with her phone. Correct. Yes.
So he admitted to murdering Kristine Melton to his girlfriend before this. And now he does this interview with the news and says, no, I just used her car and her phone, but I left her. She was alive.
correct.
Yes.
Now, when you were out that evening at the bar, at the house party on McGregor, at Kristine's, did you consume any illegal drugs or illicit drugs in that time, either with Kristine or on your own?
No, I didn't. And I understand that that's being said, obviously, by Mila and whoever else. No.
Okay, so now you take Kristine's car, you take her phone, you call Mila from her phone?
Yes, I do. Correct. Yes, ma'am.
This interview makes the news.
Call Mila from her phone.
He called Mila from her phone and he tried to put Mila in the car that he took from her.
So when I was looking at this, Ron, full disclosure, when I'm doing like the internet background checks, as odd as it sounds, I try not to look too much at this because it distracts. That's why I was like, I just need his name. And if you have one email address or like a phone number, and then I'm off to the races.
That's all I gave you.
This shit is all distraction. So after I gathered those in, I went and got to catch glimpses of this. Don't get sucked into TikTok, but I'm telling you, dude, there's a Kristen, there's a Cordy. It's Mambo number 5. He has all of them.
I know.
There are so many.
I'm talking about Kristen.
Wild.
He asked Kristen, again, everything that I'm saying here.
Yeah.
He asked Kristen, who he talks back and forth with, and she's on TikTok now trying to defend herself, saying that her kids are getting bullied in school, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, I saw that.
Kiosk Kristen was the one who told him to do this interview. And because he's a dummy, he went and did this interview. But what, unbeknownst to him, is that the news knew all of his confessions because Mila let the news listen to her and they recorded it. So this reporter knew that he had already admitted. And then she was doubling down and trying to get another interview for him to admit. And he didn't admit. And now, so they have him lying and contradicting himself. So it's perfect.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why you
Thank you,
felt the
Graciela.
need to sit down and have conversations with these.
Okay, so now this is his father he puts his foot in his ass here. He basically starts yelling and screaming at his son, the biological dad.
News. And after that, Wilson gets a call from his dad.
I don't know why you felt the need to sit down and have conversations with these media people and go into detail like you did, because I'm telling you how it was received. It was received from everybody who has heard it, and people are posting all over shit, and they're commenting, and the news. You sounded horrible. You sounded like a straight liar. You were stumbling over your words.
He sounds like Tiger King, this guy.
Trying to, come up with what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And it really came off bad, Wade. Really, really, really bad. You got to look at it from another perspective sometimes. And, now they're blasting these phone interviews all over the place where you talk about, having sex with Kristen. You didn't even say her name right. You kept saying Kristen, and her name's Kristine. So Kristen's the chick you're talking to now.
Oh my
So
God.
that
This
really
dad.
looks bad.
You can hear in the next part of this recording that
This is his
Wilson's
father.
dad
Keep
is getting
up.
angry. And Wilson's reply, oh, well.
Now you're claiming you need $8,000 for legal. You know how much money it would cost to defend your on murder charges? What do you think the state attorney thinks?
I guess it's a good thing I haven't. I guess it's a good thing I haven't been.
Interviews.
I guess it's a good thing I haven't been charged with murder then, huh?
Confession.
I guess it's a good thing I haven't been charged.
You were.
So you
Yes,
will
it's a good
be,
thing I haven't been
unfortunately.
charged.
You will be. And now, Wade, you're going to wear it because you're dumb. Can't keep your mouth shut.
Oh well, you can't keep your mouth shut. You tell
can't shut
everybody
up long
everything.
enough.
Listen, man. You tell everybody everything. You can't keep your mouth shut.
Save that shit, Wade.
No, that's the truth though.
Save
You know
that.
how sad that is.
Don't
That's
give
the truth.
nobody my number.
Save that shit, Wade, and don't give anybody my number. And he called him the B word.
That's the
Don't
truth.
give nobody the number because I tell the truth. You got this dumb who on the phone with me. You claim she ain't really a fat girl, Dad, but she's borderline a fat girl.
Who
You know
cares?
how stupid you sound?
Who cares? You
No
know
body shaming, sir.
you ruined my
Jesus.
name.
Full disclaimer: his father is no angel either. The biological father did like 12 years, and he's been in and out of jail and prison himself. So, and he doesn't even say that. He admits to it. So they're like, again, they're so in tune with each other because they haven't lived their lives right. Wade's own father, again, is not an angel, but I'm just saying he did the right thing here because he didn't protect Wade. He turned him in. So I give him credit for that because he also makes mention of the victims. And he basically says, if this was my daughter or my son who was murdered, I would hope that somebody else would do what I did. So I tip my cap
called him
to
fat,
I
like
tip my
for
cap
no
to-
reason. This is wild.
But I tip my cap to him because we look at Chris Watts' family, look at Ronnie Watts and Cindy Watts. They're coddling their son. They're like, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna love you no matter what, son. You killed our two grandchildren, our unborn grandson, and our Shanann, which we didn't like anyways, but they sat there and they coddled this guy, and they came up with this cockamamie defense that Shanann choked out the girls, and that
You're right. It's so look, here's the thing. I'm starting to realize as I get older, I don't have to like any of these motherfuckers. Like I don't like any of them.
Yeah.
I think they're all kind of fucked up
right
and bad. Like I just don't like.
But when you have
none of
someone
this
do
should
the
be
right
happening.
thing, when you have someone do the right thing and realize, hey, my son did something horrific and heinous, it doesn't mean that I don't love him. It means that I'm going to do the right thing.
I mean, I'm glad that two people did one right thing each. That was nice.
Yes.
That was nice. That was a good.
And we could pick
valid
apart
cleanser.
their lives all day long,
Yeah,
but it doesn't have, in my opinion, when we're looking at this case, Wade Wilson, this monster, this demon, those two, Mila and the father, stepped up. They got subpoenaed to go to court. They didn't want to go to court and testify, but they got subpoenaed and they went into court and they testified. And I give the father credit. He laces into him here.
This is just so much. Like I
We
can't.
know what
I know.
happens next. Wilson is charged with both murders, tried and found guilty. A Lee County jury recommends the death penalty on both counts, and it's now in the hands of a judge.
Kim Watts said it good there. She gets another highlighted
Yeah,
message.
the case is about Wade, not them.
Exactly. 110%. Closing arguments was unbelievable. And this is way too long, but I'm only going to play the first 10 minutes of it. Do you got another couple of minutes to hang out, or do you got to go?
Yeah, no, go for it.
You
I've
sure?
got
I think
like
you said you had-
7 more minutes and then I have to go.
This case was about killing for the sake of killing.
I got it sped up.
He told detectives, I've already done it once. I'll do it again.
This is the prosecutor.
But
And by the way, we are eventually, once he's sentenced, we're going to see in the FOIA requests. I have a feeling, I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling we're going to hear about what he's talking about here. Wade Wilson's interrogation video. after he got collared and brought into the box, as we call it.
Oh,
That's going to be fascinating because detectives probably grilled him and he probably folded like a wet noodle. He probably just gave it all up to them because he says here in court that Wade Wilson told detectives that he killed him.
Look what Victoria said. She said Wade's dad saved many women's lives by turning him over to the police. That is a good point. He did.
There you go. He
Right?
saved many future women's lives.
Yeah.
Men and women.
That guy was crazy. He was really just Grand Theft Auto. He was legit doing that. He was pulling people into cars. He was killing them. He was running them over high on drugs. And he wants to get off of a death sentence by admitting that he was high on drugs.
Right. And his father and mother and Wade's biological father and mother had him at 14 and 15.
Yeah,
I don't know
did
if the mother
see
was
that.
14 and the dad was 15 or how that goes, or he was 14 and she was 15. So they had him at very young.
And
So
he could be that area where he was caught at. There's 5 murder cases, right? And only 1 or 2 of them are 2 missing, and then only 1 or 2 of them have potential leads. But it was all kind of right around. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going on, but I would be very interested considering the specifics.
got to look at everything. So, and forensics comes into play big
It's like
time.
what, Cape Coral, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's take a listen to this.
He told detectives, I've already done it once. I'll do it again. But it's not about that he killed. It's about how he killed. Blunt force trauma gained compliance for submission. Strangulation for silence. According to him, it only takes 2 minutes. He doesn't get scratched. He doesn't get hurt. They don't yell. They're quiet. They can't get away even if they wanted to. He's too strong. Those are the people he goes after. On the 7th of October of 2019, he went after Kristine Melton, he went after Melissa Montanez, and he went after Diane Ruiz. Only one survived that day. Only one. Why? Because there was too many people around. But if you remember what he said, he'd have killed her too if given a chance.
And that's Melissa Montanez. That's Mila. He told her there was too many people around, otherwise she would have been dead too.
Now, what I expect the court to do is give you a series of instructions. What we need to prove to you that he did everything that we've charged him with. We've charged Mr. Wilson with first-degree premeditated murder. We need to prove that Kristine Melton is dead. There should be absolutely no doubt in your mind that Miss Kristine Melton is dead. You heard from the medical examiner. You heard from Miss Christine Johnson. You even heard from Mr. Wilson himself. Kristine Melton is no longer with us. Second thing we need to show is that the death was caused by the criminal act of Mr. Wilson. There should be absolutely no doubt in your mind that Mr. Wilson did these things. All the evidence corroborates what Mr. Wilson has told you in the course of the past day or two. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, there was a premeditated killing of Miss Kristine Melton. And what's interesting about the premeditation instruction, it says killing with premeditation is killing after consciously deciding to do so. The decision must be present in the mind at the time of the killing, and the law does not fix the exact period of time that must pass between the formation of the premeditated intent to kill and the killing. The period of time must be long enough to allow reflection by the defendant, and the premeditated intent to kill must be formed before the killing. So, that's a lot
for reflection.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah. And look at this guy in court. Just no regard at all. I want to just play a little bit of the female prosecutor who laid out Diane Ruiz's case. She did a fantastic job. And both of these district attorneys, Andreas Gardner, who we saw there, and now Sarah Miller. Let's take a listen to her.
Despicable. He bragged about their.
Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this was premeditation all day long. The defendant's attitude toward these women was despicable. He bragged about their deaths to his dad after he killed them. No regret, no remorse. And he replaced the name Kristine's mother gave her at birth with the name bitch. I killed a bitch. I choked that bitch out. And 3 days later, he's still bragging about it to law enforcement. And his biggest concern, whether he could get a hamburger and french fries. As Diane Ruiz laid in that field, being scavenged by animals with bugs eating her face to the point where she's unrecognizable, this guy over here wants some french fries. And he's bragging about the fact that Diane Ruiz looks like spaghetti.
Now, I want to just present this to the listening audience. After hearing what the prosecutor just said there, Sarah Miller, how could you cheerlead? And I'm not saying this to us, the good people that are here, but I'm presenting this to the Wade Wilson fan club. After hearing that and knowing what he did, how could you sleep at night when you're cheerleading this guy on and fundraising money for him? The only thing that you have to think about is, what if that was your family member? What if Kristine Melton was your family member? How would you feel then? Would you be cheering him on? Would you be backing him up and saying he deserves better? What about these victims? So I say this to these crazy people who are out there cheerleading for Wade Wilson. Take a listen to what this district attorney, this assistant district attorney just said, and the words that she just read in court. It hurt her to do it.
This is a man with no respect for women, with no respect for human life. When asked about Mila and killing her, he says there were too many people around. I probably would kill her, you know. You know what I mean, given the chance. Now I want to start with premeditation, because what you're going to see is you're going to see a jury instruction about lesser included offenses. And second-degree murder is a lesser included offense of first-degree premeditated murder. And there's no doubt that if you read the second-degree murder instruction, you're going to see that it involves ill will, hatred, spite. So there's not a premeditation element, but there's ill will, hatred, and spite. There's no question that he is full of ill will, hatred, and spite. But the law requires you to find for the highest charge. It says when considering the evidence, you should consider the possibility that although the evidence may not convince you that the defendant committed the main crime of which he is accused, there may be evidence that he committed other acts that will constitute a lesser included crime. Therefore, if you decide the main accusation has not been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, you will next need to decide if the defendant is guilty of any lesser included crime. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't even need to go to second-degree murder. You don't even need to consider lesser included crimes in this case, because the state has met its burden and proven premeditated murder. And I want to start with the defendant's own words about premeditation and how we know that he took a second to think about what he did before he did it.
Listen to this.
All right, the truth is, I picked the girl up and killed her. I wasn't worried about the school, you know. Remember, this is during the day. School is in session, and it's an elementary school. Little kids being dropped off by moms and dads and buses. I wasn't worried about school, you know. I choked her out until she couldn't breathe anymore. She wasn't fully dead yet. Now, he's choking her. He could have stopped, but he decided to continue so that he could kill her. She wasn't fully dead yet, and she was still alive, and I pushed her out of the car, and she tried to get up.
Smiling.
I ran her over with the car. Yep. And I ran over maybe like 10 times, 10, 20 times, her head, her body. He says, I put the window down and I said, hey, do you know where the high school is? Where the school's at? Could you show me? She said, it's right down there. I said, I drove by there and I didn't see it. Could you please show me? She got in the car. That's all it took. That's all it took. Got her in my car. And then from there, we drove to the school and I was going to drop her off. But I knew in my mind, I wasn't going to drop her off. There's the mind. I knew in my mind I wasn't going to drop her off, but she wanted to get dropped off there. I said, okay, you can go. As soon as she went to get out, whatever, I grabbed her by the neck and choked her. That's when I was choking her right there. I was choking her out right there. She came back to life 3 or 4 times. I mean, she was a fighter for sure. I'll give her that.
She came back to life 3 or 4 times. She's a fighter. I'll give her that. And he just sits there with that face. And there's people who are cheerleading this guy on and supporting him. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. And I remember in one of our classes, we were talking about how long it takes to choke someone to death, and depending on the strength and how to do it, and
Lung capacity.
yeah, lung capacity. And they said on average it can take between 2 to 5 minutes, in some cases up to 15. Like 30 seconds is crazy. Like, I cannot believe, like, this guy did it over and over again, and it was probably for, like, this is a monster. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. What
It's
about
horrible.
the money that's been sent? Here's Linda Gibbs says, the individual who said, there's an individual who has said to have donated $20,000 to the Wade Wilson Fund, could have given that money to a charity or set up a GoFundMe for the families.
True, but can I really want to talk about this real quick. There are Fundly, Fundly, and GoFundMe, right? So I contacted them yesterday, and I sent them an email. I got a response. I asked them basically what the process would be to report these Fundlies and GoFundMes across the board, the ones that are still up and collecting, which the Fundly is, what we would need to do. I also talked to a friend who works for one of those platforms who informed me that it's a lot like Instagram. If you get over 50 in some instances, in some 20, depending on how big the platform is, reports, it will auto trigger them to take it down. So since Wade saw fit to blast the judge with letters from his girlfriends and his outside psycho supporters, and he saw fit to essentially, in a way, just spam the court.
Right.
Why don't we play Wade's game against him? Why don't we all, at the end of this, when DutyRon's done, go to those Fundlies and go to those go find his accounts.
It's a hell of an idea. Yeah.
Report them. Cut him off at the supply. Do what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because there's no way in hell he can argue or fight that in court. He can't even get himself off of a murder charge. Why not?
I would like to reach out to the Ruiz and the Melton family and ask them if they would.
Do you need anything?
Sanction us to start a GoFundMe for them, for both of their families, and let them split it in half. So I'm going to try to look into that and do something like that. But I want to listen to the rest of this, because this DA, Sarah Miller did a hell of a job on this. It's almost done. And then we'll get into wrapping up. We're going to be covering tomorrow the live sentencing at 1:45. I'm going to start it early, but at 2:00 supposedly is when this will kick off, and we will watch together Wade Wilson get his sentence imposed. And I think, again, I've told you guys, I think and I feel in my heart that the judge is going to give him the death penalty. Right now, there's 2,000 votes. If you guys can, please give the thumbs up on this live stream. Let's get the thumbs up to about 1,000 if we can.
And DutyRon, I hate to do this, but I think I gotta go. I just realized I'm a little late. But listen, I want to tell chat this. I don't care whether he's getting the money or not. I don't care. If it's in his name, if it's for his women, cut off the supply. Do you feel me? Stop the bag. Upset his side pieces. Do it regardless. It's not doxing. He's legit profiting. Hello, son of Sam Law. Hello, Pogo the Clown. Are we not living in 2024? Go do what the report button is meant to do. There is a Fundly. There are multiple GoFundMes. If you see someone raising money on TikTok, do it. Okay? Also, don't date people with giant face tattoos of anything coming out of their mouth. And for the love of Christ, like, please, if the families of these victims ask for something, whether it's my Aunt Mila too. I mean, she hooked it up. She gave the deets. She gave the OSINT. She testified. She could have sealed the deal. So listen, all these people who are being affected by it and aren't getting the GoFundMe money and aren't getting the help that this jackass Dick Tracy Timu knockoff is, go send them some change. Go help their bag. Offer to bring them cookies if you're in the neighborhood. Get them to do something to help the victim's family, advocate for them, offer to help with a billboard, whatever they need. You know what I mean? Just if you want to get rid of people who fangirl over him or fanboy or him profiting off of this shit, you have to go report it en masse.
Yeah.
He's doing it. You can do it. And also go like and subscribe this, because DutyRon you have no idea how much he puts so much effort. He calls, he texts, he gets things arranged. He has charts, he has graphs, he has slides. He works on artwork for you guys. Like, I've seen it. It's amazing. And I don't know how he has the time, but he does it for you. So go click like, go click subscribe. Pray for Ed that he gets back from Africa and brings us cool drapes. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And Oblivious, I want to just say this too. Wade Wilson, full disclosure, did not have those tattoos on his face before he got arrested. He got those tattoos when he got into jail. So he's been in jail 5 years. So apparently there's a couple of different stories, but he either got knocked out or was
he joined that Los Chalongas gang or whatever.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Yeah, right. I forgot the name of it, but it's a prison gang. But people are asking for that Fundly account. I refuse to link it in the description because I don't want to.
Hey, listen, type in Wade
find
Wilson Fundly, Fundly. Just Google that. Right. It'll pop up. A woman named Marion runs it. He's taking advantage of her. Stop it. Cut it off at the source.
Yeah, just stop it. Find the plug and drain the swamp.
Don't donate to it. Stop it.
Yes.
Cut it off.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
2,232 votes, 77% vote for
what do we got?
Penalty,
what are the results?
23% life. Thank you, Oblivious, for being here for an hour and 30 minutes.
Hey, thank you.
You
gotta tell me the results before I go. What are the results of the poll?
The results I just said: 77% for death penalty, 23% for life in prison. So it's like 77-23.
Excellent. As long as we're over 75, we're sane. Okay, good night. I love you guys. Thank you. I love you, Ron.
Thank you. Bye now. All right. So let's listen to the rest of this because I think it's important to hear the prosecutor just put the nail in the coffin. Because as we know, after this happened, he was found guilty on all 6 of these charges. And he was also recommended by the same jury to have a sentence imposed of death.
She fell out still alive, trying to get up. I backed up and just ran and hit her until she was not moving anymore. That's not premeditated murder, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what is. And after Kristine Melton, when he picked up Diane Ruiz, he told the detectives, I was like, you know what? I've already done it once. I'm going to do it again. It came across my mind to murder, just kill, kill, kill. He talks about I could get sex with her and then I was going to kill her. This is going to sound weird. I'm just really horny. So I was looking for an easy piece of pussy and saw her walking and she was strolling or whatever early in the morning. So I was like, whatever, I'll give it a shot. When I give it a shot, it usually is 9 times out of 10 works for me. And it did, you know. Fuck it, I should kill her. He says she did not need a ride afterwards, which is why I started choking her because she was going to get out of the car. She said, drop me off here at school. I could tell she was getting scared. I saw the fear, and I think the fear triggered me to just kill her. It was going in a weird direction. I could tell things were off because she wanted to be pulled over, and she really wanted to get out of the car bad at this point. And I could tell she was I can sense you, fear. I'm like a fucking lion, and you're the prey, and I can sense it. They can't get away from me even if they wanted to. I'm too strong. I mean, I don't look strong maybe necessarily, but I can, believe it or not. I'm not trying to be mean. I can take either one of you guys down. And this is what he's telling detectives. He's locked up in the Lee County jail, confessing and bragging to the detectives about these murders that he committed.
Imagine he had the audacity in the interview and interrogation room. We call it the box. he's telling these detectives, I could take you guys down. This man is a menace to society. He doesn't deserve to breathe the same air we breathe.
Not only do you have his own words, all the evidence shows premeditation. Remember when he told his father about murdering Kristine, he says, she's just sleeping there. They had sex. Remember, this is 6 a.m. Stephanie Johnson has already left. He sees her asleep after a night of going out, having a good time. And he says, I decided I was going to kill her and I got on top of her. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is classic premeditation. And there doesn't need to be any length of time. It can be just a short swapping at a mosquito. Defense also alluded that, there's drugs and alcohol and he's on these drugs. That's what he says. But nowhere in the packet of jury instructions are you going to hear or are you going to read when you take those jury instructions back with you that drugs or alcohol is a defense to murder or a defense to premeditation. Stephanie Johnson went out drinking the night of October 6th. She went to work the next day. Jason Shepard went out drinking that night and he did a line or two of cocaine and he went to work the next day. And Wade Wilson went out drinking. He did a line or two of cocaine and he killed 2, almost 3 women the next day. Using drugs or alcohol as an excuse for injury or death to anyone is insulting. And you'll find nowhere that the law allows that as an excuse.
That's gross.
Think about how he was acting. He's at Mateo's Graphics. Why is he there? He's not just out of his mind talking nonsense. Now, our witness, Mr. Lukic, thought he was out of his mind because he's saying he killed 2 women. That seems pretty crazy. He doesn't think that that's probably true. He didn't, in fact, know it was true. But he's there to get out of town. He's there for a plane ticket or a bus ticket. This is someone who knows exactly what he did. He's not on some kind of drug where he doesn't know or he doesn't know what's happening or what's going on. He knows exactly what's going on. And he knows he needs to get the hell out of Dodge. And long after the high of any drugs or alcohol could have worn off, he's calling Daddy. Dad, I need you again. I need money. I need to get out of here. I need you to come pick me up. I need you to help me. And he's bragging to his dad, wanting his dad to be proud of the women he killed. And then 3 days later, when he's in custody and he's on no drugs and no alcohol, what does he do again? He's bragging to the detectives. All those quotes I just read you, those were all 3 days later when he has no access to any of that. Defense tries to say, he's crazy, he's out of his mind. And the defense, talked about mental health and that being an issue. Again, that's not a defense in this case. There's no evidence of any mental health disorder. There's no jury instruction that's going to excuse him. Any reference of it by the defendant in a statement is simply an excuse to try to justify what he did. He had no issues going out and having a good time at the Buddha that night. No issues picking up a beautiful young woman at the bar. No issues having sex multiple times. No issues getting exactly what he wanted. He wasn't hallucinating. He wasn't hearing voices. He wasn't confused about where he was. He wasn't confused about anything that night. In his own words to law enforcement, he was a fucking lion and they were the prey. And he could sense it.
He said he was the lion and these 2 victims were the prey.
Liked knowing that they were in fear. He liked knowing that they wanted to get away and he was not about to let them. And he knew enough that night to get.
Isn't it a shame that other women support this monster, knowing what he did? I don't know, man. It just freaks me out that another woman would support this guy after hearing this, after hearing what this prosecutor is telling the jury. These people need mental health counseling forthwith.
Have a different name. He was JR or Junior. He wasn't Wade Wilson, the killer. And he knew after killing someone, he should get rid of the body. He knew that after killing someone, he needed to get out of town. And as he watched the officers search for him, he sat in the Amlin's house, drinking White Claw, eating food, using his dad to help him escape. As humans, there's a desire to make sense of it all, to watch the news and come to some understanding of why, to have answers to suffering, and to look for some explanation, to look for a motive to explain why people do what they do. But that's why the state doesn't have to prove a motive. If you had to sit and find a motive or an explanation or an excuse for Wade Wilson's behavior, you'd be in the jury room for years, because there's no explanation, no justification, and no motivation that could ever explain the suffering and death inflicted on Kristine Melton. The suffering he caused to her best friend, Stephanie Johnson. The suffering he caused to Kristine's cousin, Samantha. Or the suffering he caused to all her family and friends. There's no explanation and no justification and no motivation that could ever explain the suffering he caused to Diane Ruiz. The suffering he caused to her fiance, Scott. The suffering he caused to her son, Brandon. The suffering he caused to the rest of Diane Ruiz's family and friends. And there's no justification for the fear and the pain and the injuries he inflicted on Mila Montanez. And any explanation he may have given to law enforcement creates no justification. This defendant is guilty as charged, and we ask that you convict him of all of the crimes the state has alleged. Thank you.
And they did. And they convicted him on all the crimes. I want to go to the chat. Hashtag DutyRon. Any of your questions? That was closing arguments by the prosecution. Assistant District Attorney Andreas Gardner, and then Sarah Miller, who we just heard from. I promised you guys I would go over the death penalty procedure. Florida death row procedures. I want to go over it really quick before we wrap it up, because there are some interesting things that may pertain to, and we may be dealing with this tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. By the way, after this video is over, you're going to be teleported to our live coverage that's going to happen tomorrow at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live stream. We're going to live stream the entire proceeding, Wade Wilson sentencing. Here it is. This is, let me know if you could see it. I can make it bigger if you guys can't see it. So I'm scanning the chat for any questions. One comes in from Julie V. She says, DutyRon, what do you know about the people who raised him? You know, by all accounts, the adoptive parents, the Wilson family, are lovely people and provided a very good home and a solid background for him and solid support. When you have evil, it doesn't matter who's supporting you. If the person itself are evil within, it doesn't matter who you're around. But his adoptive family who took him after birth, a short time after birth, kept him at their home and supported him and did everything that they could. All right, so here it is. January of 2000, Florida legislature passed legislation that allows lethal injection as an alternative method of execution. Florida administers their lethal injection or electric chair at the execution chamber located at Florida State Prison. The three-legged electric chair was constructed from oak by the Department of Corrections personnel in 1998 and was installed in the Florida State Prison system in Railford in 1999. The previous chair that was in existence and that was used was made by the inmates from oak in 1923 after Florida legislature designated electrocution as the official mode of execution. Prior to that, all executions were carried out by counties, by it was carried out by counties, usually by hanging. So before 1923, death in the state of Florida was done by hanging. So here's the lethal injection protocol. It gives you the complete procedure, purpose, and application. Execution team, executioner. It goes over the institutional warden and the minister of religion. Interesting stuff. I'll link it in the description. Electrocution protocol, and it's the same thing. It's a 2-page document, and it goes over all of the things. I'll go over this tomorrow after we find out what Wade Wilson's fate is. But the first executed inmate was Frank Johnson, and he was executed in Florida's electric chair October 7th. Isn't that interesting? The crime happened October 7th of 2019, and Florida State first executed inmate October 7th, 1924. Interesting, right? In 1929, from May of 1964 to May of 1979, there were no executions in Florida. The executioner, the person who does the executions, is a private citizen who's paid $150 per execution. State law allows for his or her identity to remain anonymous. 2,151 votes for Wade Wilson. What he will receive tomorrow? 77%, overwhelming 77%. Death penalty 23%. Life. Get your votes in because I'm going to end it shortly. I'm going to end this in a few minutes. And so here it goes over witnesses and people who could be there. This is interesting because the daily routine of death row inmates, we all want to know what's going to be his day-to-day. Death row inmates and death watch cells. A death row cell, that's before you get the warrant of execution, before the governor signs the warrant of execution. This could take 20 years. Death row cell is 6 by 9 by 9.5 feet high. Florida State Prison also has a death watch cell to incarcerate inmates awaiting execution after the governor signs the death warrant. That death watch cell is 12 by 7 by 8.5 feet. Men on death row, this would be if Wade Wilson gets death row, will go to the Union Correctional Institute in Railford, Florida. Women on death row are housed at Lowell Annex in Florida. The meals. Death row inmates are served meals 3 times a day, 5 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 11 a.m., and from 4 to 4:30 p.m. Food is prepared by the prison staff, yes, and transported in insulated carts to the cells. Inmates are given sporks with their meals that they eat in a provided tray. Prior to execution, an inmate may request a last meal. To avoid extravagance, the food to prepare the last meal must cost no more than 40 beans, $40, and must be purchased locally. So if there's a McDonald's or a Burger King, that's what you're getting. It's got to be purchased locally. Visitors, and I'm sure all the kiosk girls want to know about this. All inmate visitors must be approved before visitation is allowed. Questions regarding an inmate's visitation days and visiting hours and special visits should be directed to the classification officer responsible for the inmate at the inmate's assigned facility. Questions may be sent by letter or email or by telephone. Members of the news may request death row inmate interviews through the Department of Corrections Communication Office. Please don't call that number. The inmate must agree to the interview, and the interview will be a non-contact. Showers. Inmates on death row get to shower every other day. Security. This is important. Death row inmates are counted at least every hour, once an hour. They are escorted in handcuffs and wear them everywhere except inside their cell. So if an inmate goes out of his cell to go to shower, you got to be handcuffed, and then they uncuff you when you shower. The exercise yard and the shower, they are in their cells at all times, except with the exception for medical reasons, exercise, social or legal visits, or media interviews. When a death warrant is signed, the inmate is put under death watch status and is allowed a legal and social phone call. That's one, a legal and a social phone call. Magazines and entertainment. Inmates may receive mail every day except holidays and weekends. They may have snacks, radios, and 13-inch televisions in their cells. They do not have cable television or air conditioning in Florida with no air conditioning. That's brutal. And they are not allowed to be with each other in common rooms. They can watch church services on closed-circuit TV. While on death watch, inmates may have radios and televisions positioned outside their cell bars. Death row inmates can be distinguished from other inmates with orange t-shirts. Their pants are the same blue-colored pants worn by regular inmates. Here's the stats, and this is interesting. The following statistics have been compiled and collected since death row penalties were reinstituted in 1976. For more information on Florida's death row, go to our list of execution list. So here's where it says it. Inmates are approximately 44.9 years of age, average on the time of their execution, and they are waiting 27 years and 4 months. So I was wrong before. I said 22 and 2 months. So 27, almost 30 years. It takes 27.4 years is the average age at the offense for executed inmates. Okay. All right. So that I wasn't wrong about the 22 years. I think that's coming. So it says the average years, 27.4 years is the average age at time of offense. So yeah, he was 25. So that's probably pretty good. And I think here it tells you how long it takes. Hold on. I thought I read 22 years. I could be wrong. You guys can go check that out and let me know if I was wrong or right on that. I think it takes about 22 years. All right, that's enough. I appreciate everybody coming. 2,200 votes, 77% for the death penalty, 23% for life. I think you guys have said what you feel, and I appreciate that, and I respect it. I want to say thank you to the moderators, the replay viewers, the channel members, and everybody who positively engages in this community. Tomorrow, 1:45 p.m. sharp. Be there or be square. I'm just going to end the poll, so I'm going to get it right now. That's why I'm looking to the side. So let's end the poll, and thank you all for being here, the moderators, the replay viewers. Here, I'm going to end it right now. Get your votes in, 2,222 votes. I'm going to give it another 2 seconds. Wendy, thank you for the super chat. She says, great live. Let me make sure I didn't miss any of the super chats. Allison BD, thank you for the $10 super sticker. Appreciate you, Allison. The Tumblr Witch, thank you for the $5 super sticker. And Wendy, thank you for the great live. 2,227 votes. Some people are not voting, unvoting. 2,228, 2,027, 2,020, 2,229. I'm going to end it right now. Thank you, Beamer. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Black Rose, Karen Solak, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. I love you guys. I respect you. Let's end the poll. 2,236, 2,236 votes. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Awesome. Appreciate you guys voting. Thank you. There's the poll. There's the results. It's in the chat. Ooh. Hold on. Thank you. Debbie Galloway, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. All right, there it is. So the vote, I can't see it in my chat, and that pisses me off. On StreamYard, I can't see it, but I see it right here. 77 to 22, poll completed, 2,000, almost 300 votes. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 1:45. Who's going to be here? Put a 1 in the chat if you're going to be watching the Wade Wilson sentencing live with us. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not going to be watching it and you'll watch the replay, or maybe you'll be watching it somewhere else. Wherever you do, whatever you do, watch it and pay attention, because it's important that we see justice served for our victims, Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz. This is what counts. These are the folks who their lives were taken from them by this monster, and their families are left behind. Again, I keep going to that. There should be no Fundme accounts for Wade Wilson. There should be a GoFundMe for the families. We have it wrong, folks. We got it wrong. Jennifer Nobles is here. Good to see you. We got this wrong. And anybody that supports these people, these subhumans that are supporting this monster, they need to have their head examined. They need to have their head examined. So there's the poll right there in the chat. I can't see it, so I got to show it to you like that. I love you guys. I respect you guys. Again, sending strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the Melton and Ruiz family and their loved ones. All the police, the paramedics, the firemen, first responders, the prosecutors, the judge, everybody that was involved in giving justice for the families and the victims. Stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six. Good night from New York, and we'll see you tomorrow.